Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so today we were talking about, what year was that? 2016 or
Did you
something?
mention that in the title?
No, I didn't. So I'm going to, we can start this one over. Maybe should we start this one
No,
over?
I think you roll with it, babe.
Okay. We were going to talk about Steve Wynn today. So what year was that he cashed out? Do you remember?
Yes, he was ousted in 2018.
22. Okay. So you guys, if you don't know Steve Wynn, Steve Wynn has done a lot in Vegas. He made the Bellagio, the Mirage, Wynn Encore. I also heard that he did the Golden Nugget, but I don't know if that's true. But he, got in trouble for one of those Me Too things in 2018 with his like manicurist or something like that. And he got ousted out of his own company, and so he had to cash out all of his shares. I think it was like $2 billion or something like that. And his wife owns his company now. And at first, I think he was a little bummed, But now we were saying he's like the luckiest guy in Vegas, because anyone that's sitting holding their shares now is screwed. This is not going to be worth anything, because Vegas is pretty much destroyed. Steve Sisolak just destroyed Vegas. It's going to recover to some level, but it's not the way it was, and it's going to take a long, long time, because most of the businesses are going to go out of business. The really big casinos are going to continue, and those are only going to trickle open. So it's some of them might not ever come back. They're going to start with like one casino per company at a time, like one or two. Like Caesars owns like 12 of them, and MGM owns like around 12 of them too, and they'll only open like one of their casinos at a time until business comes back. So Vegas is pretty much ruined. And so Steve Wynn got out right before this huge disaster. And this is not because of just a virus. You guys have to stop believing that this is all due to a virus. If you really believe that our entire government is shut down just because of a virus, you're crazy. What's happened is they freaked out because of a virus, but now they don't know what to do, because they're scared of the people now. Because as soon as they tell us we can go back to our regular lives, people are going to be fucking pissed. And our lives are destroyed. Right now, everyone's in their house and they're living in this fantasy like everything's going to be okay. But they know it's going to be like revolution as soon as they let people go back to work. Because most people have lost their jobs and are going to lose their homes. And, this is just ridiculous. And they think their little stimulus check is going to help. And you know what? It only helps the people that are already in the system. So anyone that's not in the system, which those are going to be all the people that are going to be homeless. So like if you don't have, a job like the ones that the government, thinks are right, in the sense like you might have, under the table jobs, then those people do not get any money.
Right. We were just saying, though, that Steve Wynn had to go through this. We believe there's a lot of karmic stuff going on.
Right. So there's a lot of karma going on. So what happened with Steve Wynn is Steve Wynn was cool in the beginning with Vegas. I really liked his vibe. He's all about,
He did do the Golden Nugget. That was his thing.
He did do the Golden Nugget.
That's
what I thought.
So nice.
Okay, that's what I thought. All of the nice casinos.
The first nice casino.
He did the Golden Nugget. He did the Mirage. He did the Bellagio. He got ousted out of his company back then too. And that's how he lost the Bellagio. So then, this is the second time he was ousted.
Let me refresh you on that. What happened is that MGM drove the price down of Wynn stock so much that MGM was able to acquire the Bellagio.
Yeah, so they basically stole it from him.
The reason why I bring that up is because the same thing is happening to MGM.
Mm-hmm. From Sheldon.
I just heard just this morning, the CEO, all the executives aren't taking paychecks. They're taking shares of their own stock instead, because someone's trying to buy their company. Remember you telling me?
Right.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, so they ousted him out. So what happened is, the shareholders ousted him out. They just, brought down the, that's what they're doing now, where the companies have now become so cheap that you can buy.
The building in Bellagio? Cool.
Yeah, you can buy Vegas stock now for so cheap. So what he was saying is all of the big guys are buying stock in their own companies right now, so that they don't get bought out by someone else. And also they're doing it to make it seem like people are still buying Vegas stock, so they're like buying into their own stuff. Like, oh, it's fine, keep buying Vegas stock, when they're the only ones buying it. But,
right.
But the thing is,
yeah, it's the Teamsters.
Yeah, so Steve Wynn, what was cool was he was all about making Vegas really nice, like not having it be like really cheap. Like, and MGM is the worst. So MGM is M Life. They own about 11 to 12 properties. So it's not just MGM. It's a ton of casinos. When I say MGM, if you guys don't understand that, it's M Life. So they have the MGM Park. They have Bellagio. They did have Circus, they have Mandalay Bay, like a bunch of them.
So for people that aren't from Vegas, see, when I didn't live here, I didn't even know there was a difference in the casinos, really. I mean, they're just so massive.
Oh, they're very different.
So talk about the spirit of, like, the difference.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
So Steve Wynn's casinos have always been all about elegance and going above and beyond and making your biggest experience like something you've never seen before. Almost like kind of like Dubai, where it's just like above and beyond. And that was his thing. And so his casinos are beautiful. He has the most beautiful ones. The Bellagio is still beautiful because of Steve Wynn, not because of MGM. Like, they actually are making all of them worse. I'll get into that in a second. But any casino that was once Steve Wynn's, if they keep what it originally had, then it's a beautiful casino. Same with Golden Nugget and the Mirage. And then Wynn and Encore, of course, are beautiful casinos. And he puts like the nicest stuff in there, the nicest furniture, the nicest quality. But it was very expensive back in the day to stay at his properties. But what MGM and Caesar's not as bad, but MGM is really bad about they want to just make them as cheap as possible so that you can get like the people that are the cheapest in here, like the families and stuff. And they did a lot of remodels on their casinos, and they're the cheapest remodels I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it's embarrassing sometimes when people stay at some of their properties' rooms. Not all of them. I mean, they have nice rooms at every casino, but I'm saying sometimes the rooms that people get, it's embarrassing.
Real talk. Someone says Wynn is like Walt Disney, only for adults.
Yeah, and so Steve Wynn has always made his properties really nice, but what happened in like 2016, I think it was, or maybe even before that, it was when we first got to Vegas, could have been like 2014, Steve Wynn started talking shit about the club goers. So Excess and they used to have the other one, they had two. They had Excess and Tryst at Encore and Wynn, which were the huge nightclubs, and then it went down to just Excess. They got rid of Tryst, but those were mirrored nightclubs. I don't know if you guys have ever been to either of them, but they're awesome nightclubs, and they're so expensive, or they were, and it was, so much to get a table. It was like the cheapest would be around like $10,000 to get a table, and then upwards up to, people paying $100,000 for a table for a night.
Someone made a comment, they said MGM was about like everyone goes there because of the great deals, the money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was
all
about the experience.
Yeah, like MGM was all about getting these package deals, getting you to the shows. They do the Cirque du Soleil shows are all MGM. If you guys don't know that, except for Treasure Island has one, and then I think that's the only one, because like Wynn has what do you call it? The La Rev. It's its own version. It's the guy that was a creator of Cirque, but he went and created La Rev, so it's different.
3:30.
Which is a great show. We've been to that one. But anyways, the thing is, so he started talking crap, Steve Wynn, about the party goers and the clubbers, and he says, they're my main money source, but I can't stand them. I hate all these millennials and the club. And so we're like, ooh, that's a bad idea. And he hated the EDC music. EDC music.
That was in explain that year.
Yeah, I told him it was 2014.
2014.
That's when it was.
When Excess was.
I've already. You're coming like late in the conversation, so if you're gonna do that, that's good. Okay. So. Yeah, that's what I already got on all that Excess and Tryst. Remember I was talking about that. So. He said that in 2014, and we were like, that is a really, really bad idea to do, because that's your moneymaker. Why would you talk? Like, he said this on on some, I mean, we saw him on the news, but he did some speech and he was talking about the casinos and how well they were doing, but he's like, yeah, we can't stand these millennials and these clubbers, but they're the source of money, so we deal with it, because that became a bigger source of money than gambling, because people have not been gambling as much anyways, so I don't know if you guys realize that, so they've been getting their money more from the clubs. That's why the clubs are so expensive, because that's where they get most of their money. And he started talking crap about it, so we're like, that's a really bad idea. And so Karma, he then, a couple years later, lost his company. But Steve Wynn is a cool enough person that's why he ended up with like $2 billion cashing out, where it now would be worth way less. I don't know what the amount would be, but substantially less. And I think Karma, at first, gave him a kick in the butt for because he thought that his life just got really bad, in the sense of how much that sucks to lose your company again. This is the second time, and he lost it to his ex-wife. She owns a company now, which is great, because she was pretty awful, I think, about the whole situation. I don't know the whole story, but I'd heard, she was not very nice about this. When, all these guys had, little side deals. It's kind of crazy to act like you didn't know your husband of 40 or 50 years, who's Steve Wynn, was seeing girls on the side. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory. So now this Me Too, some women are like, I feel like I've taken advantage of it a little bit, when it was something they already knew was going on, but now they're acting like, oh my God, I had no idea. And I think she kind of did that, because I'm sure he's had tons of affairs. I mean, that's some women that marry men with a lot of money kind of just know that's the case, and that's something that they've kind of taken on. They're like, I know this guy sees girls on the side, but I'm okay with that because he's a millionaire, billionaire. That's what some women, so if you're going to do that, then you can't years later then be like, oh my gosh. But she did, but now karma to her for doing that to her husband, because I'm sure that was not the first time she found out about an affair. It's just the first time she went to the public about it. And and this whole Me Too allowed, everyone to go to the public, which I'm not, okay, there's good and bad about Me Too. There's some cases that women were taken advantage of by some nasty men, and I know, and I've had that in some workplaces, but I've never done a Me Too, and I could have. I had to quit a job because my boss wanted to have an affair with me, and I didn't want to have an affair with him. I had no interest in him. And once I turned him down, it was really awkward, and then he treated me like shit, so I quit. But I didn't ever turn him into anything, so it's like, I don't know, there's some people are taking it too far, and some people are just doing it for money. And if you're just doing it for money, then that's not right. But if you're doing it because you validly were taken advantage of and hurt or something, then that's cool. But a lot of people are just doing it for money, to get back at the person, because now they're mad and they're like, well, now I'm going to get money. But so there's, two sides to every story. But I believe in this Steve Wynn case, I believe everyone was doing it for money, being the manicurist and his ex-wife and stuff, because he was worth so much money at the time. But yeah, Steve Wynn is an interesting guy. So I have a funny Steve Wynn story. So I don't know if you guys know, but Steve Wynn is like almost legally blind, and he's been that way for a long time. And this one time he got this, I think it was like a $50 million painting that they were gonna hang up in the wind, and he was given a presentation as they got the painting. I forget who the painting was. It was like a Picasso or something. And as he was showing it to everyone, since he's blind, he stuck his arm through the painting, and it was like a $10 million. They had to fix it. It was $10 million. But he can you imagine that? It's a $50 million painting. He's like, look at my brand new beautiful painting, and he put his arm through it because he couldn't see it. But yeah, so anyways, we were thinking about Steve Wynn this morning, and we're like, everyone has been ragging on him for a long time, but yeah, he's so lucky right now. But his properties have always been really nice, where MGM is really about chinsing, and Caesars is doing that too. But Caesars was because they went bankrupt, so they validly had to cut back, where MGM is just being cheap, because MGM was doing the best of all the casinos here in Vegas, and then the whole Mandalay Bay thing happened, and then that was their casino, so they took a big hit on that. And then the guy supposedly didn't like MGM. That was the thing, MGM Properties. So MGM started to really chintz after that, and they got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But they were getting really nutty before that whole Mandalay Bay thing happened. What happened is they started charging for parking, which I said was the worst idea ever. And they were the first to do it, and they got this idea they were going to do it because they had the new T-Mobile Arena, and then the Raiders were coming. So they wanted to make sure they had room. Yeah, they got plenty of room now. There's like no one in Vegas. But they got greedy and they started charging for parking. And I said that was the worst idea ever, because you never want to put a timer on your gamblers. So they started charging by the hour, and then, they had like a day rate or something. But you don't want to put a timer on your gamblers, because they're sitting there like, oh, I better leave. So it was a really, really bad idea. And I was telling Jai Rich, I remember this was like, I forget what year it was. It was like 2016, I want to say, or 17. Beginning it. I forget. It was probably 17. But I was so upset about it. I was like, what? The thing is, Vegas has always been about free parking. And because we're in the desert and there's land out here, It's not California. I'm from California, and there's no free parking in California, but Vegas has always been about the free parking. That's one of the selling points different than California. And then they wanted to charge, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And I made such a big deal, and Jai Rich was like, what is a big deal? I'm like, this is going to bite them in the ass. And right after that, Mandalay Bay happened, within a little bit of them getting all the parking doing, and they all started to follow suit. So first MGM did it, then Caesar, because they all had to follow suit, because it's like they kind of all copy each other. And so then everyone got it except for a couple of them, and then now they all are undoing it. So it's just, well, of course now. If you try to charge for parking now, you are out of your fucking mind with the 5 people that you might be getting back. So for you guys that don't know, they shut down Vegas for, originally it was going to be 30 days. But then our wonderful governor, Steve Sisolak, who's a fucking moron, put on till May 1st. So it was like another 30. So it was like 2 weeks and then another 30 days. And so I don't know how many days it is total. But right now we're on day 20. And they shut down all hotels and all casinos in Las Vegas and all non-essential business except for construction. So Steve Sisolak considers construction essential, which, don't get me wrong, I in no way want him to shut down construction. I am about him opening up all the businesses. So I am not saying stop construction, but the thing is, it's hypocrisy, because if you allow the construction sites to continue, then you're not actually even quarantining us at all. You know what I mean? Because people are still spreading everything at all the construction sites and then at all the grocery stores. And so if this virus was that serious, he would shut down construction, and he hasn't, because he knows it's so important and he wants that Raiders stadium built. And that's the big thing. He left the construction for the Raiders stadium, and there was even a worker that tested positive for the COVID-19 virus, and he still continued. And so I went at Steve Sisolak really hard on Twitter, and I was really upset. I was angry. I was even crying, because I was so upset when this first happened, because you guys, I go to the casinos almost every day, and for work. We don't gamble. And it impacted me huge when this, because just in the sense of like, it was such a change for me. Like, I miss the casinos, and it's going to be so different. It's not going to be the same. People think like the doors are going to open and it's just going to be like it was. No, it's going to take so long for Vegas to recover, because entertainment is the last to recover after something like this. And people just haven't realized yet, because you're all stuck indoors. But we are in for a whirlwind kind of depression sense, like greater than the Great Depression. Because so many people have lives that have been affected by this, and it's going to be like a domino effect, and it's going to start snowballing, because we don't really realize right now, because if anything, we're kind of like indoors and not really knowing what's going on. But as soon as like we all go back to our regular jobs, for the people that have a job still, everything's going to be different, because all of the structure of the U.S. just changed. Like, everything that we had in structure is now changed, because we're going to have to like reevaluate everything. Some businesses are going to have to close. We're going to really see which businesses are essential even to open back up. And what's sad is a lot of people are going to lose their businesses, and that's very unfortunate. And that's why I was so angry. And when Steve Sislek, and I was telling him he should kill himself, because that's how I feel. And people, oh, how can you say that? My mom killed herself, and I've tried to kill myself. So it's not something that I'm asking anyone that I've not had in my family occur. I'm saying the guy is such a big prick that he should, because he doesn't deserve to be making decisions like this that are affecting everyone's life and then allowing things like construction. So I think the fucker should off himself. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to kill him, and I'm not saying anyone else should. I'm saying he should do it to himself, because he's that bad of a person. And he's doing everything for his selfish gain. And so Twitter took me down for that. Which that's fine, because they say you can't tell someone to kill himself. That's fine. But he's a 60-something-year-old politician who destroyed people's lives. I think I have every right to say whatever I want to him. He's not a little kid, you know, that we're playing a little game. He is making decisions that are affecting people's lives forever. And we're not allowed to speak up our mind about how we feel about him, that I think the fucker should kill himself. I think he should. And just like he fucking fucked up everyone else's life, he should fuck up his own. But no, he's not fucking up his own. He's making sure his family's fine. And then screw everyone else in Nevada. And if you speak up your mind that against anyone, you know, that's verified or a politician, then these apps, you don't really have free speech, you know. And we know that. I mean, I'm wearing the class right now because of what Joe Strummer says. Know your rights, you know, but you don't really have them until you'll find out you don't really have those rights. You think you have free speech until you try it. And you guys, we have to stop giving away our freedoms to these governments, not just in the U.S., all over. We're giving away our freedom. It started here in the U.S. big time after 9/11. We started saying, like, sure, you can check our bags, you can tap our phones, you can do this, that for terrorists. I mean, we've allowed so many things. And then, you know, at the airports, we were allowing so many things. And we allow, because, we're so worried about these terrorists. But the more freedoms we give away, the more control the government has, and the more they can do things like this and just shut us down. And you guys can say, well, there's this virus. Yes, there's a virus, but it's a normal flu virus. So today, what did I hear? The number was 9,000 or something in the U.S. have died. Well, guess what? A normal flu virus kills like 50,000. So we're not even close to a normal flu virus. And we're shutting down the entire world. And these are people that already have health problems that would normally die from the flu virus are dying from the COVID. It's not healthy people. So that's my blog for today. But you guys, we gotta start realizing that our government is not looking out for us. So stop believing what you're watching on the news, because the news just goes with whatever the government wants them to say. The news is a joke. If you're believing the stuff on the news for a valid source of information, you're out of your mind. They only tell you what they want you to hear, or what their sponsors want you to hear, or what they're paid to tell you. They're not ever going to tell you something real, like from the heart. You're not going to hear a newscaster say, let me just tell you my opinion of this. So if you want to hear real news, you got to go to the people. And, you know, like me and Jedi, Rich here, and other people doing real blogs in their homes right now. Not the celebrities doing these paid-for blogs at their homes now. I see Miley Cyrus doing an Instagram where she's paid for that. You guys, whenever someone is paid, like, by sponsors and, like, these celebs, you got to take what they say with a grain of salt, because they're doing whatever.
Someone asked, how do they get paid from that?
Oh, if they're celebs, they're paid by someone is paying for that show. Like, she's paid by someone to put on that show. It wasn't her idea. Someone came up with the concept.
Even an Instagram post.
Oh, definitely with Instagram. The celebs are paid through Instagram and stuff. You can get paid when you have a certain amount of views on these apps and followers. I don't have that option, but you can at the levels of, that's why you become Instagram and stars, you know, at a certain level. But when you're a celeb, you have a lot of sponsorship opportunities too. So usually there's some kind of sponsorship you're not realizing that they're going to be promoting you in the video, that they're going to act like is their own thing. Oh, I just happen to have this product, let me tell you about, or oh, this coffee here, let me tell you about, or Starbucks, or whatever it could be.
Or the product now is the election 2020.
Yeah, or sometimes they're paid to get you to vote for someone. Sometimes they're paid for some kind of what do you call it, charity thing. They still get paid. People are like, "Oh, it's charity." No, you get paid to promote a charity.
So the idea is that if this was a hyped up thing, then maybe Miley Cyrus and Joe Biden and Lady Gaga all are working together to convince people.
Well, the celebs are definitely hyping this up, and from all I've ever seen from anyone is this is a normal flu virus. If you look at, okay, you guys, go online and compare. They have a thing now where you can compare the symptoms of a normal flu and COVID, and then like some other stuff. They have it from like the real stuff. You can go, this is like valid sources, like the real medical sources now have stuff up on COVID. So start researching, and you'll see, for one thing, most of the symptoms are less than the normal flu. And I'm like, why are people freaking out? So like, even if you get this, the only people that are dying are people that are very unhealthy, and the very unhealthy elderly, and the very unhealthy if you have like an immune deficiency, like someone with if you're younger.
Got tossed out the bus.
Well, he was just old and all kinds of problems. Okay, so what was that, last year or 2 years ago? 2 years ago, probably now. I'm so bad with time.
We got our famous.
So we did a blog, and we got so much hate because, okay, there was this old man who was so grumpy, and he got in a fight with this black woman on one of the RTC buses here, the city buses. And he said something rude to her. We didn't know what he said because they have just the footage from the bus, but you can't hear what they're saying. But he's like yelling at her.
Would you like to see it?
Well, we'll show you guys. You'll have to come check out JediRich.com because I'm just gonna explain it for now. But because I'm about to end this, this will be the end. But so they're bickering, and then she gets mad, and he's about to get off the bus, and she just gives him like a little push. Well, then he falls onto the pavement. Well, most people would just recover from that. You just probably get a little bump, You'd hurt, but because the bus was stopped, it wasn't like a moving bus. But
he looks like a mean guy.
This man died from getting pushed off the bus, and I thought it was the funniest thing because, okay, if you have it handy, you can show it to him real quick because just the way it's funny. It's funny, but people think that's ridiculous because the man died and they got so mad at me, and people are hating on us forever. We have people that still hate on us from that, and I'm like, whatever. Okay, here's the thing. My mom and brother died. My mom killed herself, and my brother died in a motorcycle accident 2 years after that. So my mom died when I was 20, and my brother died when I was 22. And Jedi Rich's brother died when he was a baby, and then his dad died a couple years back. So, from cancer. So we understand death, and the thing is, death is a part of life, and people take it way too seriously.
I don't know, why is it funny that he got pushed out?
Well, what was funny is he was a nasty old man who was just saying the nastiest things. I'm sure he was racist. I'm sure he said something racist to get a push off the bus. And people were saying this woman was out of hand, but I'm like, I'm sure the guy was nasty. I can tell just by his facial expressions. How he was like, you can just see he was saying something so nasty to her. She just was like, she didn't even push him that hard. She just kind of went like, eh, and he just went flopped onto the pavement, and then he died. Well, and I laughed my ass off. I laughed for like weeks about this because every time I saw the video I laughed, and people were appalled by me, and the people are still appalled right now, I'm sure, if you hear the story, and I will still laugh. Jared shows me the video and I still laugh every time I see it, and I don't care. Y'all can hate me, and you know what, people are gonna die from this COVID virus, but we need to get over this because, for one thing, it's not as many as we think. It's way less than the normal flu, and we're stopping the whole world, but people die every year from the flu, and we have not even had the normal number of people die from the flu. So if anything, we're doing great. So people go, oh, that's because we're being quarantined. We're not truly being quarantined. So here's the thing, all of us are not going, well, not all of us, some of us are not going to work, but what we're doing then is we're all packing into the grocery store. So I guarantee if there was such a serious virus, they've kind of made so where you have to separate a little bit, but that isn't really helping anything. But I guarantee when everyone rushed to get toilet paper, if we all really were susceptible to it, we would have passed it all to each other. And guess what? The cashiers are all the same. So every time, let's say you don't go when there's a bunch of people, that cashier has seen all those people all day long. If it was so deadly, all those cashiers would be, and I see the same cashiers day in and day out, and none of them have even caught the virus, and they're interacting with everyone. So think about that. I see all the same local, because I know my cashiers at all my stores that I go to in the gas stations and stuff, all the same people. Not even one of them been sick. I mean, I've seen the same people. Like the gas stations, it's the same couple works there. We have 2 gas stations here that I go to get water. Same couple. Both of them are couples own them, I think, and I see a man and a woman always, and they've been there forever. And they see everyone. They just recently started wearing masks, but all this time they didn't even have masks or gloves. And so if you're telling me this virus is so deadly and so, oh my gosh, if you get near anyone, then every cashier would have got it because everyone's interacting with them. And the other thing is, then they would have stopped everything, including construction, if it was that serious. So I guarantee it's not as serious. And Super Hearts? Oh, I got Super Hearts. Oh, I feel like, wow, thank you. I had no idea. I'm not looking at it because it's too distracting for me. I'm sorry. I used to...
From your local Adonis. Your local Adonis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's too distracting, so I'm not looking at the Periscope because then I in the past would look at the Periscope and I get too distracted by the comments and then I go on tangents and stuff, so I turn it around now. So Jedi Rich helps tell me if it...
There's too many comments flow through, by the way. She thinks she has to answer everyone.
Well, what happens more too is I get upset when someone says something rude too, and then I start going at a troll, and then I get off topic too. I'm like, meh, meh, meh. And so it's just distracting. But I'm not getting as many trolls as I used to, thank goodness. Mine just used to be all trolls, so it was like, oh, I haven't done Periscope in a long time, but we used to do Periscope. So for those of you we did Periscope back in 2016 and 17 and 18 a lot. We even lived in a cave for 3.5 months and we Periscoped the whole thing. But that was our Jedi Joe Rich show. We still have another Jedi Joe Rich show one too.
Someone wants to know if you ever do call-ins. Will they call into the show?
Call into the show. Maybe we will. We just started doing this. I was going to say, what is this? Our 4th or 5th one of these. This is in our place. This is our little studio in our apartment. So I just woke up and we did this morning. And we're going to start doing that.
So what do you think of that Dr. Fauci guy?
Who?
Oliver,
that guy?
Oliver, what's his name?
The one that Trump... this guy?
Yeah, that guy, Oliver.
I think he's a fraud. Because I think these doctors are being paid to continue the hysteria. Because if you're a doctor, you can see the facts that this is not that serious. So if any doctor is saying, then I don't believe them. Because when you actually talk to the other doctors... there's a lot of doctors saying this is not any worse than any flu virus, but then that doctor and some of these doctors that they're putting on these news channels are all hysteria doctors, because I've seen some of those guys and they're saying this is the worst thing, and they're like, which no doctor should ever be making you feel like that. Like if any doctor is creating, like a doctor should always be making you feel calm and be like, not being like, so if they're doing that, then that's an act, and you gotta watch out for that, because a doctor should always make you feel like you're gonna be okay, and not be like, the whole world's dying. So if you see that, definitely that should be a red flag that doctor is out of whack, and that he's obviously being told to create hysteria.
Are you starting to notice that it seems like the Democrat, like liberal people like Miley, like the liberals, are the ones who are claiming.
Yeah, this one is what we think is going on, to be honest. Okay, like I've said before, I'm not political. I've never voted in my life. I even was in the Air Force for 4 years, and I did not vote. I was in the Air Force when it was George Bush, second one. George W. Bush. And I went in right after 9/11. I was in from 2002 to 2006. And I still did not vote because I'd never agreed with the way we do our voting. I don't like the Electoral College. And I just think the whole system has been messed up for a long time. That it's been like it's only certain people that get in and they cheat and lie and do whatever, pay off people to get there. So I didn't want to partake in that. And people were like, oh, how could you not vote? How could you not vote? Well, now you should see you should not be voting. I mean, our system is so messed up. If you still think you should be voting, you're out of your mind. But anyways, but what I'm noticing, we'd heard, is that the Democrats were, favored on some of these social media apps and all this, and I didn't believe that. I thought it was just the Republicans being crybabies, and I had heard, that Trump complained about stuff and complained about Twitter and this and that. But now, as I'm seeing, for one thing, when I went at Sisolak on Twitter, he's a Democratic politician, Democratic governor. They immediately shut down my account. I came back, but I got censored, and 3 times. I got censored for 12 hours 3 times. For complaining about him. And then, and I'd done that we said stuff about Trump and never got censored. And then now I'm realizing that all of the celebrities that are really pushing this virus are ones that are Democratic as well. So my theory is that this whole thing was to sabotage Trump's presidency, to destroy the economy. And they don't care. Like, the rich people don't care that the poor, like us, are going to be suffering. Okay, there is a virus. Yeah. There is a virus. The virus is real, but it's not as severe as they're saying. And so they jumped on this normal flu virus and exaggerated it to this level so that the economy will be destroyed and Trump will go down as the worst president and he won't be elected this year, where he was going to probably be reelected. And they tried to get him impeached. Now, I'm not saying I'm for or against Trump. I'm not saying that. It's all awful. And Trump has done some awful fucking things. For one thing, he brought back coal production, and that has destroyed our environment. And now our environment is recovering because we've shut down a lot of businesses. So that's one bonus of this whole shutdown, is the environment is already getting, they're already seeing improvement in the environment, in the air and stuff, air quality. But yeah, he brought back coal production, which is the worst for the environment. And we saw that immediately. They started having all these coal trains coming. And they noticed that they're seeing, like, the environment is seeing so much of an impact since Trump became president. But I'm not saying for or against. I really don't want to get on that train because I hate people arguing about politics. Yeah, they're all dumb to me. They're all stupid. And they all go to the same parties. Trump and Hillary go to each other's wedding parties. I mean, and they all hang out. And all the presidents hang out, too. If you don't notice, it's all club. So
meanwhile, we're out of work and they all have millions.
We're all out of work and they have millions. So they're willing to do whatever. So Trump, first they tried to get him impeached. That didn't work. So then he was going to be president. And if you guys know, Trump has been trying to become a dictator. And also, if that, who was that old lady that's about to die?
Pelosi.
Not Pelosi, the other one. The old judge. If she dies, then
Ginsburg.
Trump will be, like, so powerful because he'll have the entire Supreme Court as well, right? She's Supreme Court judge. So people were worried about that. So they would take any extreme. People say, oh, no, they wouldn't. Oh, yes, they would at this point. Because she's about to die. She could definitely die from the virus if that lady gets it. She's, like, been on her deathbed for, like, 50 years now, that Supreme Court judge. And so, she has cancer and she keeps recovering, but, like, she's very, very sick. And, so they were worried when she died, Trump would be way too powerful and he could actually become a dictator. And so the Democrats, I think, have taken extreme measures. 4 hours. And they've exaggerated the flu virus to this level. And they're destroying the economy is what they're doing, and especially Vegas. And I think Steve Sisolak was willing to destroy Nevada to take down Trump. That's my belief. And that's all, folks. That's all she wrote.